Welcome students, welcome in our third class. I'll teach you the demodulation procedure number 2, that is called envelope detector method. Envelope detector is used for demodulation. In first case we will learn synchronous detection method. The carrier which you have used during the time of modulation, same carrier with same frequency will be used the time of demodulation. That's why both the carriers, one that is used in modulation technique and then the carrier that will be used during the multiplication or through multiplier, both have same frequencies and both the carriers nature are same, both are cosine carriers. So this modulation process, that modulation process is called synchronous detection method. Next demodulation process is called synchronous detection method. Next demodulation process is envelope detector method. What is envelope detector? Envelope detector is a combination of half-wave rectifier and low-pass filter. See carefully, this is a half-wave rectifier with a filter. What a filter will do? Half-wave rectifier output will be like this. This is the sine wave signal. This is the sine wave signal, and half-wave rectifier output will be like this. This. Now the problem is we are using a filter circuit with the half-wave rectifier. This filter circuit is capacitor. Capacitor, what it will do? It will remove the ripple. From the half-wave rectifier output. Half-wave rectifier output contains ripple. That ripple will deteriorates the outputs of the half-wave rectifier. That our deteriorated output will be smoothened and you will get a smooth DC signal. What a rectifier does, a rectifier converts AC signal to DC signal. Suppose here we use AC source, like this AC source. AC signal, from AC signal we will get pure DC output by using half-wave rectifier. Capacitor is a DC block. Here, this filter capacitor will act like a DC blocker. It will block the DC component in high frequency and it will allow all the DC component to pass through load resistance. So at the load we will get pure ripple free DC components. So AC signal will be converted into DC by using half-wave rectifier. How in half-wave rectifier the efficiency is, it will be used, it is a device that is used basically in analog electronics. Its efficiency is 40.51%. We need only one diode. Efficiency is low in case of half-wave rectifier. It's 40.51%. We need only one diode for that. And a capacitor will be used as a DC blocking capacitor. It will smoothen the ripples of the half-wave rectifier output and you will get DC pure ripple free output at the output end, because capacitor in high frequency it will block the DC components and the system will allow, or the circuit will allow all the DC component to pass through load resistance. Now a half-wave rectifier and a low-pass filter will act as an envelope detector. This is our modulated signal. From this modulated signal, the envelope detector from this modulated signal will help us to detect or to evaluate the envelope of the baseband signal. Our aim is to detect the envelope of the baseband signal. Envelope of the baseband signal. Our aim is to detect the envelope of the baseband signal, only the envelope. We are detecting the envelope of the original modulating signal, that is called baseband signal of the system. So this is our half-wave rectifier output. This output contains ripple. That ripple will be removed by a low-pass filter or capacitor, which acts as a DC blocking capacitor. Always remember, capacitor will act as a DC blocking elements at high frequency. Always capacitor acts as a DC blocking elements or DC block. Always the capacitor acts as a DC blocking element and an inductor acts as an AC blocking element. At high frequency, the capacitor blocks DC components. At high frequency, inductor blocks AC component. So, at high frequency capacitor will block the DC component, and it will allow to pass through all the DC components through load resistance. So load resistance will get pure DC ripple free output. Your outputs looks like this. The DC ripple free output looks like this. So it is continuous. It's like a capacitor will act like this is like a charging capacitor. One cycle it will charging, it will store the charge. Next cycle it will discharge the charge. It will become discharging. Suppose one particular path when the diode acts, when this diode is in forward bias, suppose when this diode is in forward bias, the diode will act as a short path. A diode can act reverse bias and forward bias. So when the diode is in forward bias, diode will become short circuit. This path will be shorted like this. So the current will move through this path and it will charge the capacitor in the first cycle. In the next cycle, when the diode becomes reverse bias, the diode will be automatically in open circuit. So then the capacitor will discharge through this path. This is charging, this is discharging, this is charging, this is discharging. First the diode is in forward bias, then diode will become short circuit. This AC current will charge the capacitor. Then when the diode will be in reverse bias, in the first cycle when the diode will be in reverse bias, in the next half cycle of the AC, if the polarity changes in the AC source, the diode will become reverse bias. When the diode will become reverse bias, this capacitor will start discharging through the discharging path. This is charging, this is discharging. Charging and discharging. Every charging and discharging has a time constant. In case of this circuit, the time constant is RC into L. RCL. This is CL. RCL. This is the time constant for charging and discharging. The charging path and the charging it will take. The charging time depends on this time constant, and the discharging time will also depend on the amount of charge stored in the capacitor. It will decay and it will discharge. The discharging time depends on amount of charge decays. How much time a capacitor takes to decay the amount of charge that is stored during the time of charging, and the charging time constant is RC into RCA in this circuit. So when the diode is in forward bias, it will become short circuit. For this polarity, this is diode anode and cathode terminal. So anode is in positive, so diode is in forward bias. So diode forward bias means diode is short circuit. This current will go through this path, and continuously it will charge the capacitor. When the diode will be in reverse bias for this polarity, the polarity changes in the AC source minus and plus. When the diode will be in forward reverse bias, then this capacitor will start discharging. So this is the methodology of getting this ripple free smooth DC curve. One cycle charging, next cycle discharging, charging and discharging. And charging time constant is RCL. So our main aim, I have told you this methodology because once in your syllabus analog electronics you have rectifier. In rectifier you have to study different mathematical procedures of a rectifier, different types of calculations. So capacitor is required for to get smooth ripple free output. Okay. So this is the baseband signal, which this is the envelope of the baseband signal, which will be detected by using half wave rectifier and low pass filter combination. That is called envelope detector. Envelope detector detects the baseband, the envelope of the baseband signal, and that envelope will be treated as modulating signal. And once it is done, we can trace the modulating signal by using that envelope only. So this is our second demodulation method by using envelope detector. First demodulation method we have studied, that is called synchronous detector. This is the second demodulation method we have studied by using envelope detector. So in tomorrow's class we will study VSB filter, VSB modulation technique, that is vestigial sideband modulation technique, which is very important. We will study the advantage and disadvantage of vestigial sideband modulation technique, and as well as we will have to study balanced modulator. Balanced modulator, sometimes it is called product modulator. We will have to study the internal circuit of balanced modulator so that we can learn the procedure or the process of modulation, how the modulation is happening. We will have to know the process. So in order to know the basics of the internal circuitry of a modulator, we will have to study balanced modulator. Balanced modulator is an integral part of a modulating circuit, of a modulator circuit. So you need to know the internal circuit of balanced modulator. So this is your second very important demodulation method. Tomorrow we will continue our amplitude modulation part. After tomorrow, I will show you some mathematical calculations, mathematical examples or problems of amplitude modulation. Then we will go to frequency modulation.